Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to part 4 of my Skylines series, Ardes. And this will be a rather interesting one because the last 3 episodes we were concentrating on Saint Augustin de Narle, something like this village we're building right there. And we'll also concentrate for the first, I think, 3 minutes right now. And after minute 7 of this video, we are going to do something rather interesting. It is that we are going outside of this village and we are doing the surroundings of it. So my thoughts for this one were that just like I want to have in every video a part where I'm building some buildings for this village so that it will be finished in a soon time, hopefully. So just like in 2 or 3 episodes I should be finished with this city village thing there. And the rest of the video will be something like a really interesting other part of our area. So today we are doing something pretty interesting because we are starting with something very simple with the building of some buildings, and then later on build some fields and detail them with some pathways and things like this, because I think the city would just be there due to the fact of farming and agricultural use. For this one, I didn't just thought about fields or vineyards. We also built some, forests and maybe some other different areas later on. And this will be due to the fact that I'm thinking that this area would have a lot of agricultural areas for farming and just also maybe for cows and stuff like this. So this will also be built later on. So I think this whole city is pretty small, but I like it like this because small cities have a lot of details to them. And yes, there you can just see me just building this small cluster, and I will actually stop this in 3 minutes, I think, something about this. So then I will just talk a bit about what I'm doing there. Is I've wanted to create a small parking lot. That's due to the fact that it is just like a basic thing that you have a parking lot and a building, and we have a lot of buildings and there are parking lots. So I wanted to use at least some of them, and yes. So in this episode also I just want to say thank you for all of you guys. We nearly reached 160 subs. This is very awesome because it's just like the last 3 months were awesome with all of you guys because I got a lot of new people to it. I've started a series, got a lot of great feedback, and I think this is what counts for me as a YouTuber, so that I get a lot of pretty nice feedback from you, and also just like city names, or maybe also if you want to, you can make stories about the things that I'm building. I will definitely get them to just contain them in the next episode, and I will feature you definitely with a name. And this is just like a thing that I would appreciate to do, because I think it's pretty cool when you can decide on what the names of the things should be that I'm building. And yes, this is a very easy thing for me, just like to get a bit of a viewer story to my buildings. And yes, so we didn't detail this block there, square there in any way. So we have to make this in one of the next episodes. This will be when we are finishing the city. Also then I have to do some guardrails, maybe some more forests around it and stuff like this, because I don't want to build the foresty things there before I have the village, because I need to have the buildings for the village so that I can know how I can implement the nature to it and that it looks good, because I think this is easier than building a forest and then a village to it. At least in most of the times it is easier. Whoops, I'm sorry. So for the buildings, I'm choosing the same repeatedly because this is just like French style, all the French style buildings that I could find on the workshop and that could work for me, and I've decided I want to use them just for them as a basic thing, so that we have a basic style that is going through all of this. This whole thing will definitely have a church and maybe a small graveyard, but I think the graveyard would be a bit if you know that national road is going through the city, so it's going right now in the north of the screen, and this will also go to a graveyard or something like this. This will be on a mountain or something like this, because I think it looks pretty cool. If you have something like a graveyard and a church on top of the mountain, and yes, today you could just like see me trying to get the perfect color for my car. That's due to the fact that I like also not only the bright cars, also the dark cars. And yes, so there you can just like right now see me getting to the fields, and they're on opposite side of the national road. That's due to the fact that I think it is pretty realistic to have the like village on one side of the street and the fields on the other side of the street. That's pretty common in some areas, also sometimes in Austria, not that much, but in France it's pretty often. At least this is what I could see from like Google Maps. And if you know more about this in French, I would appreciate if you just like write to me in the comments, because I'm not living in France. I'm sorry, and I can't like say anything about the buildings that are built in France or something like this. I have to get my like ideas from pictures of Pinterest or Google. So it's always appreciated if you live in France or something like this to just like inform me about how it is there and if it's realistic what I'm building or not. Or also if you have just like some pictures of some basic structures there or something like this, I would also appreciate it if you would send them to me. You definitely don't have to, but it would be very kind, and I'll just like feature them in the next fitting episode, and hopefully I won't forget any of them. I think with the forgetting of them I can fix this with just like making myself a Word document that I can put on my phone, and all the time that I'm making a new episode I can see them in front of me. So as you can see there, we are moving on to the first field, and I was searching for some fence there because a lot of the things have fences around them, and I think fences are a great detail in City Skylines, so I built them there. And I've used these regular farm fences because I didn't want to use this very natural looking ones for the whole area. So also I'm building an entry for this field for sure, and just like also some mud going in there because why not? And first I wanted to use this like gravel road, but then I've changed it to this gravel pathway because it is having quite a good texture and I can work with this texture. It is a very defined one and it is cutting through the screen areas quite a bit, and this is very good for detailing, at least for me, because then I have an just like guideline, you could say. So what I'm doing there is something very basic that we're also having in Austria. That is just like these rows of trees. That's to get like the wind away from the fields, because you have the problem here in Austria that when you have a lot of wind in the winter and you have snow, you would have all of the snow just maybe going into streets or always just like on this gravel pathways. So you're having these cuts between them with trees, and they're breaking up the like acceleration of the wind and slowing it down. So this is done due to the fact that then there we have just like lower, you could say, piles of snow that are piling up, and they are piling up all on a street, because this would be very bad, you could say, I think, for just like the road condition, and you would have to use a truck or a shovel to get it free, and this is pretty expensive for you to do for a whole country. So as always, vineyards, because French series has to get some vineyards, I think, and we're also doing quite a lot of them, and I think that's also okay because they're looking very good and they're making a great like a great difference to the fields. And this difference is pretty good because we have a dark field and we have very light, well actually the vineyards are darker, but I think light switch break up in between them. And yes, so I think I will just like keep the upload times as I have them right now. So one video will be up on Wednesday, every Wednesday should be up, and every Sunday there will be one. And every video that is coming in just like another different day, there is just something like an additional video, you can say, that I can do when I have more time and more free time from school. But right now it is just like possible for me to do more videos there. So there, for this layout, I took a great inspiration of some in Austria, but then I've switched it a bit because I've wanted to have this like farmhouse in there, and yes, so this is basically the main reason for it. And there you can also see I was just like breaking up the like look of this whole thing with a small forest and just getting in some plants and deleting a lot of them again because I wanted to have some dirt in them and to get it look lighter and not so thick. But I think in the end it turned out quite well because we have also some breakup spots around it, and the just like forest is there for at least a bit of nature there. So there we are doing something very basic, a barn to be like exactly true, and this barn is on the end of this gravel pathway and is going to be serving as like storage room, sorry. And at first I wanted to take this one, but I was afraid of the bushes, and I switched it and there later on, so just like in some seconds, because I couldn't delete the hay details. So like this dried grass in the ground, I'm not sure if the pronouncing was right. And then there I've looked for them, but I have so many big ones but so many small ones, but so less small ones, so I took this one there and it fits in quite well. At first I wanted it to be like not symmetrical correct, but then I did it because I had a thinking, if you have a big tractor you want to go in there with an like also with like trailer, that's the name that I searched, that I tried to get there, and you want to go in there, it would be very hard to turn around, so I did a straight one, and there you have this small piece of land where you could turn, and it is just giving you the possibility to this like thing there. And there I think the nature turned out quite well, and I'm just like adding dirt again. I love this decal, it is making so much like details. This decal is making a lot of details. Yes, perfect. And we will also build a fence there because in Austria at least it is that you have a lot of fences there so that you don't just like cross the land of other one and the properties, and just like to be safe that no one is going over your land. It shouldn't be going over your land. And yes, I actually considered to use this one, but then I've changed, then I didn't use it. It is just like I thought about maybe getting in some details, but this was too much for me and it wouldn't be realistic because we already have this like road details on this national road, and I think it is already looking very used, so I left it on the like thing it was there. And yes, so there I took the broken fence again because just to break it up again and getting more details in, I wanted to use different fences and get them in a different like areas. And although this is all very flat, we'll also have some hills later on, I have to say, but for now I think it is okay with the flat land there. So we are going to finish the layout soon, and until then we're just like building some nature and getting in some grass patches and some trees and bushes, just something to break to break up the like look of this whole area. So we are at now 16 minutes into this video, what is quite long, and I would appreciate it if you would consider liking this video because it takes me a lot of time to do this video and get a decent voice recording. This is actually my 5th time that I'm doing it right now, and I would appreciate it if you just like show me your appreciation with a like. And if you like what I'm doing and you want to see more and you haven't subscribed to me yet, I would appreciate if you would consider subscribing to me. It helps me a lot. We're nearly at 160 subs, and it helps me quite a lot, and it gives me just like the motivation to do more videos and do them more frequently and try to get them better. So while you can see me there putting in more grass and forest details, I will leave you for now, and maybe I will join you later on, and if not, I'm I'm just saying bye right now, and have a great day, and see you in the next video. So we are back, at least I'm back, and my voice is a bit better, and I hope it should work. So there, at first I want to make a huge, like, enormous mansion like building, but then I've turned it into a different one, into a smaller one, and it used the smaller one due to the fact that I wanted to have the possibility of getting in, just like the look of an alone left house there. Maybe also an inn for some guests, but this won't be an inn. We will build an inn later on. It is just like, if you don't know what an inn is, it is mostly it is in a rural area. It is a small hotel, not so just like 5 stars or something like this. It is just like a basic hotel. And this building is just like placed very peacefully there, and you have a lot of like distance to your neighbors, and it's very quiet. So this is just like my thoughts, where this is a kind of rich family that just like belongs a lot of the fields there. It's just like all vineyards above are belonging to the big mansion in the town, and I thought this should do a great detail. And I was thinking about the like driveway to it and how I want to move it, and this is also just like the direction that I wanted to be facing. The reason for the thing to face there is that I have to think about the fact to just like, if you are driving by, you're mostly seeing a front side of a building and not the back side, because the back side is a bit more private and mostly the bedrooms are leading to the back side, at least in Austria. So this is something that I had to do and accomplish quite well, I think. And here I'm just like deleting some pavements and just like left a small one, so there's just like a place for one vehicle, and I've used a very small one, because although there are a lot of rich families, a lot of them are using small and compact cars just because they're easier to use in just like the countryside most of the times, because it isn't very easy to use a Rolls Royce on a gravel path or something like this. So I thought it would be a wise decision of them. And just like to say something about the LUT I'm using right now, I think it is looking perfect. It is, I love the look of it. I love to look just like all around these areas, and yes, it is just like, I love it. And it is giving so many great, like, awesome details that I can accomplish with it, due to the fact that it is just like not so like extremely green. It is kind of warm. The textures aren't like in this tint mode from, how is it called? I don't know what I don't know it. I just like know that the combination was Shift, Alt, and L, and then you can do some more switching in there. I think it was something called post-process FX or something like this. So if you want to search it on the workshop, I think I will put a link in the description if I don't forget to add it there. So as always, I'm building a forest around it, because forests are awesome, and forests are giving a lot of privacy for the people that are living there. Because if you have a lot of land like this, you want to also have some privacy. And if I would live there, I would definitely plant a forest in front of my house, because I just like love this feeling to go in the forest, and you have this cold air, and you have this like peaceful surrounding, I would say, and maybe just like some animals, but not so many people. And this is actually something that I love on my like hometown, that I have the possibility to go, I think I go 10 minutes in the forest, and then I'm in a pretty dark forest. And although there are some tourist attractions, it isn't too much. So here I'm using copy paste just because I wanted to use some ground details and not get the ground to be too green, I'm sorry. And yes, so right now I will leave you alone with this video, and again, thank you for watching, and hopefully see another video, and have a great day. Bye.